Dr. Gladys McGarey, I'm so excited to have you on Euphoric, the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm so happy to be here.
Now, tell us, please, can you share a little bit about your career and what you're passionate about sharing with other people?
It's a long story, but the heart of it is that all healing really comes from one source, and it's love. And that the whole medical profession is, trying to find its place in that whole process, because it's not just the modalities that we are using for therapies and so on. Behind that, and more, and sometimes more important than that, is the love with which it is presented to a patient, and whether they can accept it as that and take it in so that the physician within them can do the healing. Because we, as people on the outside, only can offer something with our understanding of things, but unless somebody takes it in, it doesn't go anyplace. And love has to move, and love has to be accepted or not,
Wow. And you are a doctor and have been in this profession for how many years now?
Well, I started medical school in 1941, and that's when the war started, World War II, that is. So, it's been all my life.
Wow. And you were one of the earlier pioneers of holistic medicine, something that I think you're very passionate about expressing. What do you see has changed in the medical profession to incorporate more of the mind-body healing over just the more traditional way of looking at the body?
Well, when I started medical school, we learned a lot about how to identify diseases and get rid of disease, and how to control pain. But there was very little about anything beyond that. And I had grown up in India, where my parents were medical missionaries, and the basic premise of the work that they did out in the villages of North India was to reach the people with their love and caring, because you couldn't take much in the way of equipment back into the jungles and expect to be able to use it. So what they were able to use was the way they used their own energy and their own caring. And as a kid, growing up, knowing that I was going to be a doctor, that's what I saw. So when I started medical school, I was looking for that along with the therapeutic things that we were being taught. And my looking for that sent me into a space that the dean of the medical school didn't understand. So she sent me to the psychiatrist 2 different times. Psychiatrist sent me back into school, but it was it really didn't change. When we started our practice and we began using our own energy in ways that we understood, my husband and I, in our practice, there was more to it than just x-rays or whatever. The whole idea that how we cared about the patient was very much more important, not more important, but as important. And so, later on, when we were in the practice of medicine here in Phoenix, and there were other doctors who were beginning to ask these questions, that's when we started the American Holistic Medical Association. Took us 2 years to decide how to spell it, because the word that we were looking for as a base word for holistic was health, healing, and holy. So it had to be with an H.
I love that so much. And I have your book here. I have to say it's one of the best books I've ever read. It's definitely the best book I read this year. A Well-Lived Life. and you share the 6 secrets to longevity. And instead of sharing about some kind of Amazon superberry food that's going to help us all live to 102, you share about your 6 secrets to a long, beautiful life. You say in your book that each of us came here to do something. Can you share a little bit more about why you care so much about the juice and what that is?
Well, yes, because, I kind of look at life as actually as the earth as kind of a huge jigsaw puzzle. And each one of us has a place or a piece in that jigsaw puzzle. And no one else could fit in that piece. I've tried it in a jigsaw puzzle. You try to pound it in, it doesn't work. There's no way of having another piece fit in my space or your space or anybody else's space. We are cut out to be that way, and that's the way, if we're going to live on this dimension, we have to fit in. So as we begin to understand that, but if you've done a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle and you get to the end and there's one piece missing, you drive yourself crazy trying to find that one piece. That's that just symbolically how important each one of us is in this whole scheme of the universe. We have a place here. We came here to do something specific, and that something is our juice. It's the life force within us that gives us not just the energy, but the ability and the direction and so on in which we want to go as human beings.
Wow. I think so many people do what they think they should do, or what they think is going to make most practical sense. And they're living a life without passion or purpose or juice. And in your experience, what have you seen come up for those people who deny their juice?
It's very sad to me. It's one of the saddest things. I have a friend who is in her 90s, and she told me a couple of weeks ago, when she gets up in the morning, she says, "Oh, not another day." And that almost makes me cry, because to me, it's what a joy. The sun comes up and there's things that need to be done and that I want to do. In order to try and understand this, a while back, I created what I call the 5 L's. The first 2 are life and love. You can see a seed, they go together. They don't function without the other. You can find a seed in the pyramids, and it's been there 5,000 years, and it can't do anything until love, in the form of light and water and caring, softens the seed's shell, and the whole life energy, which has been there since the beginning of time almost, can do what it needs to do. So in the process of thinking about our inner juice, we start with the reality that we are dual beings. There's the inner aspect of us, and it has to be activated on the outside. So, when a woman is pregnant, she and that baby are one unit. They're not separate units. Everything she sees, the baby or thinks or eats or does, the baby experiences that baby as that action as what's going on within its own body. And so it then cannot actually do anything on the outside until it takes its first breath and becomes who it is. It is no longer an it. It's a name, it's a person, it's a reality. And it moves from femifesting into manifesting, and there it is. So life and love are integral parts of each other. One really can't function well without the other. The third L is laughter. Laughter without love is, it's mean, it's cruel, it's cold. It tears families apart. It causes wars. But laughter with love is joy and happiness. And the fourth one is drudgery, is labor. Labor without love is drudgery. Oh man, I got to go to work. There are too many diapers. Life's too hard. I can't, it's carrying this whole load of what life is. But laughter with love. I know I'm all mixed up on my own words, but the labor with love is bliss. It's what makes you do what you do. It's what a singer sings. It's what a painter paints. It's that inner juice, that inner knowing of the reality of ourselves and others that really lights our world. So it's bliss. And the fifth L is listening. Listening without love is empty sound, the clanging gong. Listening with love is understanding. So it's, for me, if we can kind of structure our life on these 5 L's in our own way, because it has to be how we understand it or it doesn't mean anything. So as we can accept it and see how the things that are happening in our lives, the choices that we make, the work that we're doing fits into those 5 L's, it helped me to get some structure in my life, because, things happen all over the place. But this allowed me to really function in a way that I could begin to understand it a little bit.
Well, I definitely wrote those down. I hope our listeners wrote these down as well, because, to get this kind of wisdom from a pioneer in her field at 102, living with so much joy and health and happiness today, this truly is almost gospel to be able to hear these from you. So thank you so much. And I'm so curious, when sometimes someone is so disconnected from their intuition and that juice, and that, like you said, the singer sings and, we do our passion. Sometimes we can be so disconnected from that. How would you instruct someone to connect back to their desire and to their wants?
Start looking for the light. We get stuck in dark places. We get stuck where things have gone bad. Things have happened to us, and they have injured our psyche. They've injured our soul. We've had real injuries to our being. These are real things that happen. But if we are looking at that and hanging on to that, we can't move forward. It's like if I have a cut on my arm and it scabs over, and I spend my time picking at that scab, it's never going to heal. But if I leave it alone and just treat it as part of the healing process, there'll come a time when I'll look back at my arm and I'll say, well, hello, I know what you are. You're just a scar. It doesn't hurt anymore. Now it's just part of who I was and who I am, and it's just there. But if we're not looking for it, we won't see it. We have to be looking for the light. So it's our opportunity. I kind of have a idea that this is not a theology or anything. It's an idea I have. When God, whatever God is to whoever, each one of us, when God created the earth, and he looked at it and he says, oh, this is really nice. This is very beautiful. It's what I want. This is good. And then he created the human being. And he said to us, you're the only living beings on this world that has free will and free choice. So I therefore give you dominion over the whole world. And we, in our arrogance, thought he said dominance. He didn't say dominance. He said dominance means control, and dominion means taking care of. So if we actually understand that our job is to be here as caregivers for this world of ours, life begins to make sense. The light starts to come on, and no matter how hard things are, they just are hard, and they can be gotten through, but not just gotten over. If you try to get over stuff, it still stays in the corner. But if you live through it, and because each one of these things that happen to us are our teacher. Our bodies have ways of teaching us something. It's kind of a simple explanation, but it goes farther. I had a patient that I'd been working with for several years, and she had shoulder pain, and I couldn't seem to. We couldn't seem to get any place with that shoulder pain. She would come back in, and she still had that shoulder pain. And so again, we'd gone through the whole process. But when she went to leave my office, she picked up her purse, and she's carrying this really heavy purse. And I sat down on my chair and I started to laugh. I said, we've been looking for the answer, and it's right there. Get a lighter purse. You don't need to carry that load all the time. But that load can be not just a purse, but something that we have been really hurt by. And we've been trying to understand why it hurts so bad. Well, it hurts so badly because we're carrying it. And we can actually look around and begin to see what we can do, well, with our shoulder pain that doesn't have to be this. It can be something we're hugging our child, or we're reaching for the light, or doing something that this part of our body is telling us we can do.
It's so beautiful. I think one of the greatest mindset shifts I've ever had is to see every hardship or every challenge as happened to me for a reason, so that I could help other people.
Right.
And I think that through that lesson, I love the way your book is laid out, of the six beautiful lessons and secrets of a long and healthy life and happy life, is to really see everything as being your teacher, as you said before, and see the deeper reason why these things happen to us, and keep the lesson, but let go of the emotion and the baggage, like you said.
Yeah, live through it, understand it, and live through it. My mother was my great teacher too. And I mean, she was amazing. She had a basic sense of humor that really saved me from doing, because I was an angry kid and I had dyslexia and all that stuff. Anyway, one example of that, when I was in third grade, the teacher finally accepted the fact that maybe I couldn't read or write because I was dyslexic, but I had some other. So she had me as governor of our class. So that gave me the opportunity this one day to present. We had a play in our class, and I got to be the one who was the frog that jumped over the pool. Of course, I was bigger than the other kids because I'd had to stay back another year and all that stuff. But anyway, so I was very happy about this, and my mother made me a frog suit and dyed it green and all this. So I walked out on the platform with in great confidence because I could jump over this pan of water that was the pool. So I walk out, and the problem was that in the first row in the audience, my two older brothers were there, and I saw them, and it just knocked my step off enough that instead of jumping over the pool, I landed in it. And so I'm standing in this pool and I'm crying, and the suit is fading, and I can't move. The audience is hysterically laughing because this is so funny. And I'm just standing there. Finally, the teacher comes up that leads me off the stage because I couldn't move. So at dinner that night, my brothers were telling my mother and my other siblings about what had happened. I was giving them the devil's eye, which they paid no attention to, but anyway, all this was going on at the dinner table. And finally, my mother said to my brothers, all right, boys, now you've had your fun. Now, what can we do as a family to help Gladys if she ever gets into this kind of situation again, where something happens and she has the people laughing with her, not at her? Now that just simply changed things around for me in a way that has been, well, it's at least helped my juice a lot because these things happen, and if you are stuck with what happened, and it colors everything. Like people who have dyslexia also are awkward, and so there are many times I step off onto a platform and I trip. Well, if I just get stuck with that spot like I was in the pool, I can't do anything. But I've found that there are little things that you can say that actually bring some humor into it, like I'm such a drama queen or something like that, and walk up to the platform and start, and you've already got the audience in your hand, because it's not that what happened really took you off what you were needing to say or wanting to say. It's what happened, just happened. It's life.
I love that ability to reframe things and not to make such a serious meaning out of them. And it just sounds like, you're such an extraordinary woman. And it sounds like your mother was such an extraordinary woman and influence on your life too. And you had a very interesting childhood. Could you tell us a little bit more about where you grew up and what your parents did for a living?
Yes, I'm very grateful for my, well, I'm very grateful for these years that I've had to spend on this planet. It's been amazing. But my childhood was in the jungles of North India, and all kinds of interesting things happened. My parents took their they were both doctors, took their medical work out to the jungles, and the people that we saw were the village people who were living in the villages really with nothing except what they could grow and what the food is, all of that. And in fact, I would play with the Indian kids. I spoke Hindustani before I spoke English or anything. And the Indian kids would rub my arm to see if they could get the white off. Because I was this white kid running around, and so that was, in my life, I thought it was just ideal. I loved it.
Here's your slipper from when you were a kid.
Oh, my son just handed me this. It's when I started college, I brought a lot of my, some of my things from India, but I brought my bedroom slippers. But now this is a wooden piece that's all carved and stuff. And I wore
Wow.
that when I started college, which would meant that when I went in the hall, I would be clunking like this. I never got away with anything. But
And your mother was a medical doctor as well, which was just extraordinary for the time, right?
1913, she
Wow.
got her degree. And in fact, she was so not accepted by the medical community that when the church sent her to, actually she went to India with my dad, but she went as on his passport, sort of like baggage. No, it was amazing to have the parents that I had, and I'm so grateful.
Well, truly a legacy they've created. And as of your career and your life and your message is creating such a legacy for us. And I'm just so touched to be able to read your book and speak with you today, because these 6 secrets, I'm just telling you, you have to buy this book. These 6 secrets to a long, happy, healthy life are just golden. And, you talk a lot about love and connection and really having that, laughing it off kind of a point of view and of really seeing the good in things. And you say once that it's not about toxic positivity, it's about healing and processing the things that happen to us, but still finding what we're grateful for, still finding the lessons. And I'm curious, are there any situations in your life where that message has been really helpful for you?
Oh, I can't say there's not one moment that it hasn't been helpful for me. Added to that, another secret that I think is really important is for it to pay attention to our dreams. And I mean, see the dreams that we have at night as well as the ones that we have in the daytime. But our dreams are the way in which we can connect our juice with our minds, because our minds are critical and they can get us stuck too, because we are who we are. But if we can get the juice up into where things are and some light there and some joy, and it changes things.
Wow. I've always heard that to, follow your dreams, but it's so interesting to actually mean your sleeping dreams as well. And you've mentioned in your book that yours have gotten more vivid and you've gotten more guidance from your dreams as you've gotten older.
Yes. In fact, about 10 years ago, I had a dream. I woke up one morning as a huge crash. And I woke up and I was sort of in the dream and out of the dream. Sometimes dreams will do that. And what I saw was I was standing in a valley in the high Himalayas. And on the right-hand side of the valley, there was a young woman just sprayed out on the ground, just barely breathing. On the left-hand side, there was a huge man in armor in exactly the same place, just barely breathing. And I saw these two, and the words came to me that these two forces have been fighting each other like with their fists for eons. It's time they put their fingers together and joined their energy and lived their lives. Yeah, I mean, there was the whole thing. So I took a deep breath and I thought, well, boy, that's huge. And I had a friend who was very into with life and things. And so I called her and we were talking about it. And she said, I've been thinking about a different word. We talk about manifesting things. Well, manifesting is like Jacob's ladder. You take one step and then you take 2 steps. You buy a house and then you get a degree and so on and so forth. This is actually manifesting on this earth. She said, I think there's another word that is as important, and it's called femifesting. She said, femifesting is not Jacob's ladder. It's a spiral. And you can be on the 5th level of the spiral and know what's going on in the 2nd level. And we have that energy within us And we've been fighting each other all this time. And after we had talked a while, I realized that the girl in this dream was on the right-hand side, which is our masculine side, and the guy was on the left-hand side, which is our feminine side, and we were trying to be the other and really killing ourselves. So I think I delight in the word femifesting. I
Me
think
too.
it allows us to put our shoulders back and say, yes, we can. And when you think about a pregnancy is totally femifesting. And the baby can't do anything until it can manifest. So life and love are femifesting and manifesting in order to be real on this dimension.
Oh, incredible. I love the symbolism that we can get from our dreams and the bigger messages and
Yeah.
beautiful secrets that you have to share from those. And I know in your book, you mentioned that we should write them down and journal through them. So I'll definitely take up your advice on that. So Dr. Gladys, one more question for you. Your last secret of a long and healthy, happy life is to spend your energy wildly. What do you mean by that?
Don't question it when you understand something that makes you really light up, that gives you juice. Just spend it, because energy can't be banked. You can't, and money doesn't actually do anything. I mean, it just sits there and it doesn't even reproduce itself. It just sits there, And if we're stuck with the idea that there's something that's blocking us from going any further, that'll really make us unhappy. But if we can really actualize the fact that our inner essence is what gives us joy, and the bringing together of the femifest and manifest, so the femifest can manifest, and it makes sense, and we can. We women have tried really hard to manifest so that we can do the things that we want to do, and the only place or way to do it was to manifest them. Like me having to be sent to the psychiatrist. Well, one of the problems was that I wasn't manifesting the way the school had actually asked us to manifest, because they have told us that we had to be tougher and smarter than the guys if we were going to compete with them. But we didn't understand at that time that it was a competition. It's not a competition. It's joining forces and finding out how you can do it right.
Well, the juice that you have for your life, to see a woman who is continually sharing her message and writing books and just giving us this incredible wisdom, it is such an inspiration. It really goes to show how much strength and resilience we all have. And I hope my listeners are inspired by you today, that it's never too late to go after their dreams, that at every age they can turn things around and go after health and happiness and the juice. And honestly, listeners, this book was the best book I've read this year. Please go get it. A Well-Lived Life, 102-year-old doctor's 6 secrets to health and happiness at every age. Some of the secrets we touched on today.
3 in November.
Exactly. So just what a beautiful book, what a beautiful message. And it just, again, goes to show at what kind of life we live and the ripple effects we can create for other people when we really go after our deeper purpose, find our puzzle piece in this planet, and express our juice. Dr. Gladys McGarey, thank you so much for being on the show. I'll be sure to include the links to your book and to your website so everyone can find you. Is there any other parting words you have for us today?
I love you all.
Wonderful. Amazing. Well, thank you so much. Such an honor.
Thank you. Thank you.